So today we are here just south of Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania, where it's a long Mill Road off of 343. There's a cemetery here called the Grove Family Cemetery, named after the family, the Grove family. They were mill owners. They built a mill here in this general region. I think it's over there on the other side of the creek. They built a mill and a mansion. The mill was both stone and brick. That was built about 1815, and right shortly after the end, or right at the end of the War of 1812. And they built the mansion, which I'll have pictures up of that from millpictures.com. And that was built, I believe, 1875. So anyways, the mill and the mansion I don't believe exists anymore. We're going to go drive down the road out through here just to see, because I'm not really sure the exact location, but cemetery is here. We're going to check this out, and then we'll talk a little bit about the family. I want to do some of these farm family plots, do more of these, and then also go into any structures in the local area if we can find them. Thankfully, I found a whole slew of pictures of what used to be back in like 2006. The mansion was still standing. I don't think it is anymore, and the mill they had started dismantling, I think, in 2010. So, you know, it's been 10 or 12 years since those places existed. But a beautiful, beautiful mansion. It's a Victorian type mansion, and I'll see if I can find any more pictures than the one picture that's there. But let's go into the cemetery, let's check this out, and go from there. So here we are, the Grove Family Cemetery. Looks like it's actually maintained really well. They actually redid the stone walls, the Grove Cemetery here. Wall was restored in 1986 as a gift of Raymond M. Oberholzer. I think quite a few of the names, some of these newer ones, were probably added on at a later time. There's a Joseph Strom, 1778 to, it looks like, 1836. It's pretty neat because this is a cemetery I had no idea was here, and I just started looking through Find a Grave app, and yeah, these are all newer stones that are added. It's probably just replacing the stones that had been here at one time but degraded so much. Apparently they were a pretty impressive family. A number of Stroms in here. There's War of 1812. This one is a little rare, but for this cemetery it makes sense, because that's sort of around the time that they became very prevalent. And those smaller stones that you see there, those would be the foot stones, and then these are the headstones. 1768. Looks like 1851. This is an Oberholzer there, so there's probably individual, these little ones that are fenced in are family cemeteries that were added on to the original Grove Cemetery for the Grove family. He was 1718, 1829. Looks almost like a Henry Melly, or it might be a Meyer, I don't know, because there's Meyer, John B. Meyer. There's some stones that are over there against the wall. These are the ones that are sad, like the infants. It says infant. Elizabeth B. Meyer. There's, looks like a Michael Young. So it probably wound up being, I would assume, as well. And there's a chipmunk running along the stone wall. Wound up being a, like, the family plot, but it also wound up being, you know, a cemetery for the community as well. Probably people that married into the family, something of that nature, because there's a lot of Myers in here, the Oberholzers. And then here they have John Grove, Anna Grove. Wow. I'm sure in that other area there were stones in there as well. But I always like finding these old cemeteries because they're just such neat places. There's an Adam P. Miller. Looks like 1843 to 1884. Yeah. Adam Grove, son of A.P. and Emma Miller, 1884 to 1894. So he was, that's basically, it looks like he was born right after his father had passed away. Because his father passed away on August 28th, and he was born November 26th. Huh. Wow. It's another one of these serene places, that last resting place. And I'm sure, like, I wouldn't be shocked if there was a bunch of other burials in here as well. But I think these were all the, there's 1824 to 1897. I gotta look at it, but I think I'll look at the history of this, but I think the Peter Grove and the John Grove were the brothers. Yeah. Peter Grove was born 1764 to 1847. And John Grove was April 22nd, 1768 to 1835. And then Anna was the wife of the one guy. 1785 to 1847. They were, John Grove and Peter Grove were the brothers. They were the ones that built the mill. It's just really, really, it's a place of reverence. It's a place that these folks that came before us made the community what it was, because these mills were so very, very vital to communities. We just talked about the mills of Annville. Fredericksburg, there were several mills. This was one of them. There's another one we talked about, James Lick, and he had a son with this lady, and her father was a mill owner, and James Lick was not good enough for his daughter. It was like, until you have a mill the same as mine, is more as important as mine, I'm not interested in having you marry my daughter. It's a shame. Alright, well, we'll continue this video. We'll have pictures of the mill and the mansion, and then maybe talk about the Grove family a little more in detail. Thanks, everybody. As promised, I have a couple of these pictures. I was only able to download 2 of them. The picture of the second mill and of the mansion. I do want to clarify one thing. This is, the cemetery itself is called the Grove Farm Cemetery, because this mill and the whole group of buildings that was there was all on this Grove family farm of the 2 brothers. So originally there was a grist and a sawmill that was built about 1815. I believe it was like basically a timber, like framed building, I guess you could call it. And that was built in 1815. Then in 1875, they built a mansion, J.W. Grove. I'm assuming he was probably the grandson, just because of the extent of 60 years difference. He built the mansion and a new brick mill, which was actually built on a stone foundation. So that stone foundation was probably something else. And actually, right behind the brick mill that had stood till about 2006, there was either a stone or a brick miller's house. So they had the guy that ran the mill for them. They were did very, very well for themselves. It was one of those mills, like we talked about, that was so important to the local communities. We had talked about the Annville mills along the Quittapahilla and how that helped the town grow and flourish. Well, it was the same way with Fredericksburg, and we had talked about James Lick before, that he fell in love with the miller's daughter, and the miller said, "You're not good enough," because they were highly reputed in that time period of society. So that's the story and information of the mill and the mansion. As far as I can tell, neither one is standing anymore. They did start to dismantle the mill in 2006, and I think by 2010 the vast majority of it was already dismantled. There were some walls and things like that, and I think the whole mill was fed off of, it's called the Elizabeth Run, which is a tributary of Swatara Creek. And so you could see, at least at one time, where the water would come in and go out, because they usually had some kind of wheel down in the basement of the building, but that was pretty much all that was left at that stage. And the mansion back in, you can see the picture there, really was in quite poor shape at that stage. So I'm assuming where it's supposed to be located, I looked it up on the map, there's just nothing there anymore. Like, they had a really nice home there and like a garage or something, like really nice place, but where it is back a little further on the property. There's probably some foundations, that type of stuff maybe, but I didn't see anything from the road, and it's private property. But at least I had some pictures to show you these particular mills. But the Grove family was essential in that area, Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania. And like I said, from seeing the mansion and that type of stuff, I mean, it was quite the substantial operation. So, as always, I want to say thank you for coming along, visiting this cemetery with me, and remembering the Grove family on their Grove farm. And as always, we will see you all about town.